Another integral video. This one is going to be going over homework problem 15 from the sheet for class. And it said to take the integral from 0 to 1 of y times y squared plus 1 to the 5th dy. And looking at it, you can probably tell that we're going to have to do a substitution. So go ahead and pick something to be our u, and let's let that be the y squared plus 1. So du dy is going to be equal to 2y. So du is 2y dy, and dy is going to be equal to 1 over 2y du. Okay, so now that we found out all of those, we will go through and get ready to plug all this stuff in. So we're going to be taking the integral, and so we'll just leave that alone for right now, and that'll be y times our u to the 5th, and dy was 1 over 2y du, and you can tell that y and that y are going to cancel each other out. So we're going to have the integral of u to the 5th times 1/2 times du. And so since this original one was going from 0 to 1, since now we have it in terms of u, we need to change our interval that we're checking the integral over. It's a fun little tongue twister. So plug that in for our u, which was y squared plus 1. So for the top one, we're going to have 1 squared plus 1 is equal to 2. And for the bottom, we're going to have 0 squared plus 1, which is going to be equal to 1. So now we know what to change these to: the top and the bottom. Okay, so there's where we left off. As you can see, we have a constant right there, so we can pull that out. U to the 5th du. So now we're ready to actually start taking our antiderivative. So don't lose our 1/2. And so for the u, it's going to be 1 over our n plus 1, which will give us 6, because 5 is the n plus 1 is 6. U to the n plus 1, which is going to be 6. And our du goes away because we just took the antiderivative. And that is going to be from 1 to 2. And so that's being multiplied. So we have 1 over 12 u to the 6th from 1 to 2. So now we can go through, and our nice little equation, which now you should know is we're going to be using the fundamental theorem of calculus. So now we just go through and start computing, and that's going to be our B, and that's our A. So we have our 2 to the 6th over 12 minus 1 to the 6th over 12. Okay, so that gives us 2 to the 6 over 12 minus 1 to the 6 over 12, which is the same thing as, 6 2's together, so it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So then whenever you multiply 8 and 8, you get 64 over 12 minus, 1 to anything is just 1/12. That's going to give us 63 over 12. And, out of that you can factor out a 4, or a 3. And so that will leave us with 21 over 4. And that should be our answer. And one thing that you may want to note, like I left this one in terms of U, and did that, and went through the fundamental theorem of calculus right here in terms of U. If you wanted to, once you got to this point, the 1 over 12 U to the 6th, and we found out in terms of U it was 2 to 1, or from 1 to 2. But with U substitutions, some people will go ahead and put U back in there, which was for this one it was y squared plus 1, and that would have been to the 6th. If you do that, you need to have your interval back in terms of y, which was from 0 to 1, I believe. Yeah, from 0 to 1. And then you would just, use that form. Since this is your interval in terms of y, you would use that with the fundamental theorem of calculus up here. And so then you would just go through all those other steps like we did before. And so that would be 1 over 12 times what was it, our B, which is 1. So that would be 1 squared, which would be 1 plus 1, and that was raised to the 6th. So you could tell that, and then that would be, plus 1, excuse me, and then, so that would be right there, then it would be minus the f of a, so it would be 1 over 12 times our a, which was 0, so 0 would be squared, plus 1. I'm sorry, that plus 1 right there was actually not supposed to be there, because like I said, paying attention, the plus 1 is right there. So like I said, just pay attention to what you're doing, and always double check as you go along. So that comes out to, it'd be 1 plus 1 is 2, so we'd have 2 to the 6th over 12 minus our 1/12, and you can tell that was the same thing we had before. It'd be 64 over 12 minus 1 over 12 gives us 63 over 12. And whenever you factor out the 3, that'll give us 21 over 4. So we get the same thing both times, but that's, just paying attention to what interval you're doing, and, whether you leave it in a U, make sure that you do the interval for U, or if you substitute your U value back in, you can use the original interval.